everybody recognizes it.
But for you, it's going to be a Sunday afternoon, as usual, or Monday, or Tuesday, or whenever it is.
It's a day or a night in your world in which you're.
What episode is this, sir?
Craziness. I think it's number 12. And there's a funny thing about when wearing my masks. I always want to have an accent going on, so it's not just me that's talking. I don't know why that is.
So who are we going to name this guy?
It's the identity crisis that I suffer. Just call him Dave. I like the name Dave. Hello, Dave.
Okay, Dave, where are you from?
Hi, Dave. I had one earlier. I'm from Omaha, Nebraska.
Oh, that's quite an accent for Omaha.
Tackle shop.
Fish and tackle shop.
I came roundabout of the motherland overseas.
The old world.
We had the potato famine, and that's why I got the chunky face, because of the potato famine. All I ate was potatoes for like a month and a half. It's coming out of my arse, man. It was crazy. Then I have this weird deformation of my mouth because I had to bite the potatoes, and it just didn't work all the time. So it's crazy.
I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that's why you didn't move to Idaho.
Aye. That's why I didn't move to Idaho. I was tired of the potato famine, and I'm like, if I want potatoes, I'll just throw them in my backyard, and that'll be that, Some people say I'm Scottish. Some people say I'm Irish. I don't really know. I think I had a Scottish mother and an Irish father. You don't really know. It's not. There's nothing Braveheart about me, though, I must say. No makeup on this guy.
Oh, shit. You're killing me.
So this is the Chris and Mike show. I'm standing in for Chris. I'm the guy behind the mask. You can call me Dave. That's Mike Michaels, the world-renowned guitar player. Like ding-a-ling-ling, gling-ling-ling-ling. That music at the beginning was him playing on the guitar. Right? Jam on, jam on, jam on. Oh, look at the fireworks behind you.
Oh, yeah.
That's spectacular.
Spectacular.
I'm impressed with that. I'm impressed with that, Mr. Michaels.
I have to say, you might have thrown me.
So if you notice during the show, every time I puff, I'm going to puff my cigar, and the beautiful thing is I know how to talk with it in my mouth the whole time, so you can't really understand why the cigar doesn't move.
That's a guy who's serious about his cigars, ladies
All
and
about
gentlemen.
skill. Damn straight I am, man. The wife doesn't like the cigars, though, so she kicked me out of my office. I'm in the living room now. She didn't like the smell and the stench of the stogies.
We noticed you had a new location there, or at least I noticed you had a new location.
A new location, yes.
Eventually,
I'll take you out back so you can see the motherland in America.
Our regular listeners will for surely notice that you have a new background.
Right? And then they'll be like, what the fuck happened to Chris's face? I'm not Chris, I'm sorry. Who's this Dave guy? Where's Chris at? We don't know.
Chris is under the weather, so Dave is filling in. Yes.
Right.
The show must go on.
Come down with the flu.
Yeah, the damn flu.
The show must go on.
But the show must go on, so I recruited Dave.
Man. It's a bitch.
Which is an odd name for a
Dave
Scottish
is here.
guy.
Dave is ready.
Is it not?
Team of red, white, and blue. Well, I would tell you my real name, but I'd have to kill you because I'm wanted in 17 countries for misgivings of different things I've done.
Oh.
When I was trying to dominate the world over there. Yeah.
We have a real life fugitive on the podcast.
Yeah, well, I'm not a fugitive because I got away with it all.
The statute of limitations has run out.
It has run out. There's no statute of limitations in the motherland.
It is statute, not statue. Seinfeld cleared this up for us.
Right.
If you remember that episode, it is not a statute of limitations.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that Jerry dude. He wasn't very funny, but the people around him were hilarious.
Agreed.
That Kramer, I love the Kramer.
Oh,
I have a picture of the Kramer somewhere.
Have you ever seen the Kramer guitar?
I've seen the Kramer guitar, but is it a Kramer guitar?
There is a Kramer
Nelson,
guitar.
How he played all the different guitars with bodies. Wow, that's impressive.
I got a picture of it on my phone somewhere. I'll have to drudge it up one of these days. Post it on the Facebook.
Outstanding. So I know. Chris isn't here, but it was all about football this past weekend. So should we touch on football today?
It is all about football right now, and yes, we can absolutely touch on football, Dave. I don't know how much you
It's
know
it,
about football over there in
it's the
the Scottish
pigskin.
country, but
Well, the beautiful thing about the National Football League, they've been playing overseas for years now, so you can kind
okay,
of jump on and watch some games. But
all
obviously,
right.
I'm here in the States now, so I there's a shitty ass team here in Arizona called the Cardinals. They're just crap. They absolutely suck ass. I don't know why anybody would follow them. Like I've
Uh,
gone to games with like say the Steelers are here, and the Steelers pack the place, man. It's like yellow and gold. Well, that's the same color, gold and black or yellow and black, whatever their fucking colors are. But the
they're
entire
yellow and black.
stadium was filled with them, and you had these little dots of red. And then when the Steelers did something fantastic, everybody erupted, and when the Cardinals did something fantastic, you'd hear all seven people cheer. Hey,
all, all seven
it was
people.
pathetic.
Was that you and your friends?
It's just pathetic, man. I don't get it. No, because we went there as Steeler fans, man. We don't like the Cardinals. They're stupid. They
Oh yeah,
suck. The
yeah.
ownership's lame.
That's why we kicked them out of the
They
Midwest.
charge you. They charge the athletes for towels, right? They charge the athletes for towels, man. So if you have a towel, if you take a shower after the game, you got to pay for a towel. Which I don't know how messed up that is, but if you don't buy the towel, then you're walking around naked. Which makes the interviews extremely awkward, especially for the short little white women standing next to the, 8 foot tall, 350-pound offensive lineman that has a tripod by leaning forward. If you know what I mean, Michael.
Like their genitalia is in line with their head. Yes.
Correct,
Yes.
America. Gotta
That
love
was
it.
that was a
So I know you're a big better. I know you're.
no, that was a funny Joe Rogan bit
We cl-
when he was talking about that all people are not equal. He said he had Shaq on Fear Factor,
oh yeah.
and he said I came up to Shaq's dick. So all men are not created equal because my head was in line with his dick, and I looked like his little brother. And if Shaq wanted to squash me, he most certainly could. So all people are definitely not created equal as far as physical attributes go.
So Joe Rogan's either that small or Shaquille O'Neal's that tall.
Shaquille O'Neal is
Or
that tall
both.
and that big of a human being. Well, I told you I just met
crazy.
that guy that played for the Detroit Lions for whatever, 8 years. That dude was like
Right.
standing next to him, he didn't even look human, man. It's hard to believe that a human being can get that big.
Really?
His arms were bigger than my thighs, and that I'm not exaggerating at all. He was just a massive human being.
Oh, I believe you.
Just massive. I've never seen somebody that big. I watch them on TV, and they look big, but standing next to him, you're like, oh my god, this guy could smash me into a million
Right.
pieces.
On TV, right? On TV, they don't look that big because they're surrounded by people that are same size, so you all think they're like 6 feet tall until you see after the game. There's a game on this weekend. I think it was the Bills game where Josh Allen was being interviewed after the game was over by this woman who literally she was staring up at his nostrils the entire time. There was such a size difference.
Yeah, he's like 6'6".
Right, but on TV, on the telly, you don't realize that. You just think, oh, it's a normal Joe Blow. They're playing football, and that guy's going to go tackle him. They're the same height, and it's a conundrum. It's a conundrum.
It is hard to tell.
So let's talk about football, you gambling bastard. How much money did you lose this weekend?
I did not lose any money at all. I actually won, but I could have won a lot more. I was smart enough. I'm not sure why, but the gambling public, Las Vegas, whoever decides the initial line, decided that the Cleveland Browns were a favorite over the Texans. And if you have been watching football at all this year, you know that CJ Stroud is a stud. And I could not believe that they were giving you plus money
Yes.
meaning that the Texans were an underdog at home against, of all people, the Cleveland Browns with 39-year-old Joe Flacco. I like Joe Flacco, but he's 39 years old. He just learned that system, and you're going to beat a young stud that just won the Heisman Trophy and came into the NFL guns blazing, which a lot of, I don't know, did he win the Heisman Trophy? Am I talking out my ass there?
I don't know. I didn't follow college football because there's no money in it. There's just a little bit of squally little crybabies who want to go to the NFL and get paid.
Oh, no.
So I don't watch that.
You got to follow it now because there is money involved. They got the NIL, which basically means that the collegiate athlete can now have an agent represent him. And right now, a number one quarterback like an Alabama or an Oregon, a big powerhouse Division I school, is making on average, let's say $3.5 to $4 million a year. True story. Might be hard.
That's fantastic. So
yes.
It's a no interest loan then.
Yes, they finally opened it up and admitted that they were making billions of dollars on these athletes that were only getting an education, which is, it's a solid piece of money for a 4-year Division I school. But an education is hardly worth an injury that's going to, derail you from the NFL or the NBA or wherever your aspirations were, right? So I don't know if the government got involved or the NCAA. I didn't follow that story that far. I just learned about the fact that the average quarterback at a powerhouse Division I school is making somewhere around $2.5 to $4.5 million a year.
Maybe it was the mafia, La Costa Nostra, because they got their hands on everything when it comes to gambling, So maybe they did it. They said, look, we're going to pay these guys, so then they can turn around and bet all their money with us, and we can build another Vegas in Chicago.
The IRA, from the motherland.
Oh, the IRA, yeah, that's the Irish Republican Army. You never know that. Yeah, from the motherland. You never know. So we had what games did we have? Then we had the Texans and the Browns, and I didn't know that the Texans were not favored. Otherwise, I would have put a C note on that fucking thing.
And I did.
So did you win money on that game?
Oh yeah.
Right on. How much did you win?
$257.
Right on. And what'd you bet? What'd you lay down?
Well, okay, so I won my original 100 back plus $157. So I was either going to lose $100 or I was going to win.
Good for you, Michael.
Oh yeah.
Right.
So for
that's fantastic. So you got yourself a burrito then.
I have not. We'll discuss why I have not in a minute. But for the listening audience, I have never lost $1 of my own money gambling on sports.
Yes.
I have lost shit tons of money at the casino. I'm not going to lie. Not to the point where I went broke, but.
Right, you need to educate Chris on that because Chris doesn't gamble, and if you have that legacy behind you, you need to get him involved because he's got to show up his son, the Marine, who's been betting as of late and winning money hand over fist on football.
Okay, well we'll get you set up and we'll start you off small. That's what my dad's been doing. He bets $5, dollar, sometimes 50 cents. He's not a big, he doesn't put a lot of money into it, but it makes watching the game so much more fun, even if you only got $5 on it, right?
Oh, okay. We'll take a look at it then.
My average bet is somewhere between $10 and $25. So we had the Browns and the
Texans.
Yes. Then we had...
But you put 100 on the Texan game because you saw an opportunity to make bank.
It was a gift. It just was a gift. Some things are just staring you in the face, and they're like...
It was a gift. It was Merry Christmas. Merry late Christmas.
Yes, exactly. It was Mike's...
Merry late Christmas.
Merry late Christmas gift.
Nice.
So then we had the disaster of Green Bay and fucking Dallas. What happened there?
I don't know if that was so much of a disaster. It's more of just a coming home party for Dallas fans, realizing that they're still one and done. So I believe Mike McCarthy's going to get his ass fired because Jerry Jones wasn't happy.
Listen, man.
I think he's out. I know it's scary.
How can you play that good all year. I know they sucked on the road. They have some weird thing about they can't play on grass and they can't play away from AT&T Stadium. But for Christ's sake, they were 16-0.
Right.
Going back to last season, they had not been beat at home, right? How do you be that unprepared and play that fucking bad? I hate to say anything's a conspiracy and that things are fixed, but Jesus Christ, man, it was almost glaring. I don't want to think that. Come on.
I think it's the fact that the Cowboys suck in the postseason. The coach doesn't prepare you properly. Like the Steelers game, they weren't prepared to play. Tomlin did a shitty job preparing that team to show up and play the game. They were missed tackling. They weren't wrapping up. They were trying to arm tackle. They were half-assing all the way up and down the field, regardless of the side of the ball they were on. The Eagles did the same thing. They weren't taking the right angles when they were pursuing the offensive player that was running down the field, scoring touchdown after touchdown. They were arm tackling or trying to. The running backs and receivers were bouncing off them. There was one point in one of those games where the receivers had 65 yards after the initial contact was made, which just tells you they're doing a shit poor job doing what they're paid to do. Fucking tackle the man. They don't care what you got to do. Fucking back in the day, Dick Butkus, yes, I've watched Dick Butkus on the YouTube, would just throw out his fucking arm and knock the guy over. You can't do that anymore, obviously, but that was an arm tackle that was more like a running into a bridge, and you're just fucking down. So there's no real reason why any of these games defensively should have come out to be shit play, because these guys are professionals. This is what they do for a living. You have one job on defense: tackle. That's it. Just tackle the motherfucker with the ball. It's not that hard. And then you have the offensive players. What's your job to do? The quarterback throws the ball. You catch it. It's not rocket science. You're not a 4-year-old on Chris's flag football team where you're not expected to catch a ball because you're only 4 years old. But my God, man, there were some players on these teams that were so wide open. Chris could have drove his truck up and down the sideline, and the ball would have just bounced into his truck bed, and he drove into the end zone. It's fucking asinine how bad these guys were. Just saying.
It was terrible.
Preparation. 99% of barbecuing, right? 99% of barbecuing is inspiration. 1% is preparation. You flip that with football. 99% is inspiration, is preparation. 1% is inspiration, right? Did you see how I put barbecuing and football together right there?
That was brilliant.
Brilliant, right?
It was brilliant. I think it's brilliant that we use the same word.
We had hot dogs on the grill last night.
Delicious.
We use the same words, because we're wordy people.
We're in tune. We're in tune.
We are in tune. Oh, that's a good musical reference. In tune. What was the next game they played? We talked about the Browns and the Texans. We talked about the Cowboys and the Packers, the Cheeseheads. What else we got?
The Chiefs with the broken helmet. Wasn't that crazy?
The Chiefs. Here's the thing, man. Helmets break all the fucking time. You know why it was a big story? Because Patrick Mahomes is everybody's little Mary go-to. Oh, what's wrong with Patrick? Oh, did he get a little owie? Oh, did his face mask break? What's going to happen? It doesn't fucking matter, man. Every football player, every single fucking game, a helmet breaks. But they don't show it. Why? Because it's not Patrick Mahomes. It's everybody else who doesn't give a shit about what their helmet is. Why do you think they have multiple helmets, man?
Can I go out on a limb and say that
ahead.
you're not a Patrick Mahomes fan, Dave?
Go. I like Patrick Mahomes, but I think the focus on these quarterbacks is fucking ridiculous, man. Like because your helmet cracks doesn't mean the world's got to stop. And let's focus and zoom in on that shit. Like Kelsey diddling that Taylor Swift chick. Who gives a rat's ass, man, who he's diddling? It's his own business. But to show her every freaking game, that's just stupid. Now, granted, it's opened up a whole new generation of fans. I think they're called Swifties that like football now, which, kudos to her for doing that. But Patrick Mahomes is not a god. He's a football player. And if he retires tomorrow, nobody's going to miss him in a year. Travis Kelce is a hell of a football player, hell of a tight end. But guess what? This was the first year he had less than 1,000 yards receiving. Why do you think that is? Could it be Swifty?
That's not real hard to figure out. Yeah.
No, it's Swifty. Swifty got in his pants and he's slowing down.
Sure. It happens. I'd make the sacrifice if I had to.
Yeah.
You know,
That happens.
now he's got the woman and he's got the money.
You know.
What are you going to do? You know?
Well, he always had the money. And
there's worse problems to have.
He doesn't have the woman yet because there's not a ring on her. Yeah, there's not a ring on her finger yet, so I don't know how much she has, the woman, you know. And it's a football season romance. So once the football season's over, then they're going to be attached to each other's hip 24/7, and that's when everything's going to go south.
I can guarantee you one thing.
You know, rock stars and football players, and
he will be the one. He will be the one signing the prenuptial agreement.
Oh, absolutely. She's worth $1 kajillion. And we talked you and Chris talked last week, and she's not even in the top 10 million sales. You know, she just sells songs. She doesn't sell 10 million albums. She's not a diamond performer by any means.
But she's a billionaire. Billionaire.
She's a billionaire because she's a download queen.
Right. We need
billionaire for sure, man.
We need to be download kings.
We do. Download.
Everybody start downloading the Chris and Mike podcast, please.
Yes, especially when Dave's here as a special guest. I mean, come on now. How do you ever see this striking young Scottish Irishman ever again? Don't think so. Don't think you're ever going to see him again on this show because he's not going to get invited back. I doubt.
Well, you never know. You know, I do like a person with a good story. You know, and Dave's got a good story.
Good stories.
I may get curious about Dave later on.
So the Lions game, the Lions. Yeah. Dave's not here, man.
No, it's me, Dave.
Remember that Cheech and Chong bit?
I just did it.
No,
it's me,
Dave.
Dave.
No, Dave's not here, man.
Oh, it's me, Dave. Dave. No.
Dave's not here.
It's me, Dave.
Dave?
Let me in.
Dave's not here, man.
Oh, that was
That was Cheech and Chong's reaction to who's on first bit. And I think the Cheech and Chong one's funnier.
Oh, by a landslide.
Just saying.
We used to listen to that and just fucking roll, man. Just die laughing. If you don't laugh at Cheech and Chong, there's something wrong with you.
There's something wrong with you. I'm going to put up a little ditty that Chris did with Chong on the Chris and Mike Facebook page. You're going to roll on your ass laughing.
Right
it's
on,
the funniest bit ever.
Right on.
Yeah. So the Lions play, the Detroit Lions, where you travel to Detroit every few months or so you kind of have a connection with that, right?
I go to their state, yes. I don't go anywhere near Detroit, but that's a long ways away.
Right. Well, no, but that's what I'm saying. You go to Michigan, and Detroit's in Michigan. Last time I checked on the map, I had a map the other day, and I was like, oh, where's the state at? And there it is, because, you know, being from overseas, I'm terrible with American geography. Like, I didn't realize Canada went the whole way from Florida.
I'm a big fan of their flowers, Dave.
I thought it just was over in New York. All right. Michigan flowers, the roses and the petals and all that kind of fun stuff. Outstanding. Man.
Yes, they have beautiful flower up there.
So they won. And everybody's excited because they won. And I'm saying, like, look, man, it's just one fucking game. You didn't win anything yet. You had golf and won a playoff game.
We're pulling for the Lions.
First time in 30 years, but it's one game.
I know.
Agreed, but it's one game, man.
I know, but we love them.
It's one game.
If anybody's going to win, I hope it's the Lions. Fuck
without
them.
the bling.
Fuck them fudge Packers.
I think the 49ers are going to take the whole thing, unfortunately. But I agree with you. I think the Lions need to get to the divisional championship game to show their worth and their value. But I don't think they're going to get past the 49ers, man. That team's just fucking loaded and stacked. It's a powerhouse. Everywhere you look on that team, matchups are insane.
Honestly, I got no problem with the 49ers winning it all. I like Brock Purdy. I like Christian McCaffrey. I think they're good for the game.
Right.
They don't really have any.
I agree.
I mean, you might call Debo a prima donna a little bit, but he really doesn't. Not to the degree a lot of them do. I just think that's a solid team. I agree with you, man. They're going to be a really tough team to beat, but
I do too.
The Packers just went in and rolled over the Cowboys, who had been scoring, an average of 30-some points a game at home, and just made them look stupid. So hopefully San Francisco doesn't underestimate their opponent is all I'm going to say. Jordan Love's no joke. He's a good quarterback.
I don't think. I don't think they will. Their coach is a legacy coach. He's from a Shanahan family, and I
Agreed.
don't think he's going to not prepare his team to play and show up and execute. And
Couldn't agree with you
that's
more.
the one thing that he's done very well. Because he's Irish Shanahan. He's an Irishman, and so he's prepared his team, and all the Eagles are left out in the parking lot. Because they all have the same common goal in mind, and that's winning the whole damn thing. It's kind of like when the Giants shocked the world and trounced the Patriots in the helmet catch Super Bowl, right? And the Patriots were 18-1 instead of going 19-0. The team was prepared, man. They were
Yeah.
Coughlin prepared them. They were ready to go in there and fight. They had nothing to lose, and the Niners have nothing to lose but prove themselves. Purdy's got that brick on his shoulder because he's like, nobody gives me the respect. Like, he's not going to be MVP because they don't get the respect. But you can't give it to Dak now because Dak laid a big old fucking egg
Oh,
this weekend. Lamar Jackson's going to be he's going to determine what he does this next week. And if he loses that game, how can he give it to how can he give it to Lamar Jackson? See, I'm a big believer. All the accolades and the awards for the season must come after the Super Bowl is completed, because if you have the stats in the regular season and you propel that through the postseason, and then you win a big game, and you're one of those elite players that's in that discussion of MVP, offensive, defensive, entire league MVP. If you're in the show and you win the whole damn thing, that should take you up another level, and that should be how you're chosen, not because of your regular season shit, because who cares? It doesn't mean a thing what you do in the regular season. Ask Peyton Manning. He'd rather have 5 Super Bowl rings than all the regular season things, because who gives a shit? Eli would play just because he wanted to get a ring. He could give a fuck about stats. That's why he couldn't care about his turnovers and all that nonsense. He just wanted to win. That's all. And when he beat his brother at the Pro Bowl last year in AFC versus NFC, he just rubs it in his face.
oh
Every
yeah.
time you watch them on the Peyton Manning Eli broadcast, man, it just jags and jags and jags. Rightfully so. He's a better quarterback than Peyton when it comes to his strength and his stamina. The guy never missed a game except for that fuck Ben McAdoo who sat him down one day and missed one game his entire career. That's unheard of in football.
Oh
Think
yeah.
about that. Playing the entire career except for one game. You started every single game. It's rare. It's very rare. I think Travis Kelce's brother did that. But other than that, it's hard to come across somebody who's played every single down of their football career in the
Oh yeah.
pros.
The NFL's
Kudos to
brutal.
Eli Manning. Fuck Ben McAdoo. It's brutal. It is absolutely brutal.
Screw you, Ben McAdoo.
Right. Wonder what he's doing now. Probably working at 7-Eleven fixing slushy machines.
Yeah,
What else we got for football? The Detroit Lions did kick some ass. That was a great game.
that was a great game. Absolutely. I enjoyed watching that one. The one that I did not see was the Bucks destroy the Eagles because I was sound asleep on the couch, and I would have taken the Bucks in that game, and I would have won some more money because I knew the Eagles were skidding. I did not anticipate the Cowboys skidding at home like that, but it was obvious that the Bucks were going to win that game from the get-go. I don't care who we are. Something happened to the Eagles.
So fucking boring. Right.
And you know,
Right. They're having player meetings. That tells you right there, leadership fucked up.
exactly. Because the only thing that I can relate it to is being in a band and playing. And if there's a personality conflict going on and you're going on stage, that's usually not going to be your best gig, right? So it made me think that the same kind of
Correct.
thing could have been happening with the Cowboys the other night, in that it looked like Dak and CeeDee Lamb were not having a good time at all. And it's pretty evident when you go
They
see
weren't
a
at all.
rock band that is not having fun and they're just going through the motions. The music doesn't sound that great because you're not putting your heart into it, right? You know,
does
your
not.
soul's missing.
Agreed. Agreed.
So I think the
CeeDee
Philadelphia
Lamb and
Eagles
Dak were not on the same page.
fell into the same bad trap, in that there must have been some big egos and they were colliding, so to speak.
I think the coach just dropped the ball because they were 10-0, and then they went, what was it? Lost 5 of the last 6, so 10-1 and lost. It just, you don't start out that hot and then lay such a big freaking egg. And that game last night was so boring. The Eagles and the Bucks, man, just such a boring game. The score does not reflect the enjoyment of sitting through that. I actually fell asleep watching it. I know Chris fell asleep too. I'm over here visiting, and I was on that couch and he was on the other couch, and it was that boring. Woke up all of a sudden it was 35-9. It's like, what the fuck happened? But just and the Cowboys game was a blowout, which wasn't very enjoyable being a blowout, but it was enjoyable for everybody who hates the Cowboys. And let's face it, for every million Cowboy fans there's a million Cowboy fans that are not. So you have a million love you and a million hate you. So it's kind of like the Trump and Biden election, right? There's 81 people who voted for Biden. Where the fuck are they now? They're nowhere. So it was like the 81 million people like the Cowboys. Where are they? When they get their asses kicked, they're nowhere, man. They're quiet. But when they're shoving it down your throats.
I'm only going to change one set of your numbers. There's one person that voted for Joe Biden, and there's 80 people that voted against Donald Trump. So that's how those numbers got to be.
80 million.
I'm just saying, for every one person that voted for Joe Biden, there was 80 that voted against Donald Trump because we were tired of his fucking mouth.
Yeah, he's got to keep his mouth shut. I'd be a great president. I wouldn't tweet at all. I wouldn't even show up.
You'd be a great president because you make people laugh. He doesn't make people laugh. His jokes aren't funny.
Oh, right.
That's his biggest problem is he's not a comedian.
Life's too short. No, he's not.
And if you really do your research...
Robin Williams would have been a good president.
If you really do your research, he wasn't... everybody kept making the argument, we need a businessman. We need a good businessman. He's not a good businessman either. It's like...
Right.
It's the same reason you don't want Hillary Clinton to be the first woman president, because she's a fucking evil bitch.
She is, right? She's very much so.
Warren
I will
Buffett,
say this, though.
Warren Buffett called Donald Trump out.
Epstein's Island.
He did visit. Well, Bill Clinton did too. Trump's on that list.
No.
He's got to be on that list.
I haven't seen his name on the list. I don't know. No, there's no evidence so far showing it. Everybody else and their mother and brother and sister and cousin, aunt and uncle have been there.
He's still a male chauvinist.
Buffett said we don't want to get. We don't want to make our show politics. But what did Warren Buffett say about Trump? I missed that because I don't watch the news. This is my news, man. Sitting here with you chatting. You and Chris do the show. That's my news, man.
Okay, so let me put out a public service announcement. If you're getting your news from me or Dave or Chris, you're in big trouble. But I will tell you the truth as I know it. And the truth as I know it is that Warren Buffett said that if he would have just taken that $100 million or $200 million that Daddy gave him, he's not a self-made man. His dad just basically set him up.
Oh, I know that.
If he would have just taken, he claims to be a self-made man. So if he would have just taken that 100 or 200 million and put it in simple index funds, he would be worth like 18.5 or $19 billion. Like he brags about being worth $4 or $5 billion. He'd be worth like 5 times that if he would have just set his money in simple index funds and let it sit. So Warren Buffett was saying he's not a very good financial guy either.
So people that don't understand, what is an index?
It is a group of a bunch of companies, and you own little tiny pieces of like hundreds or thousands. You can choose how many are inside that index fund, but usually there's thousands of companies, like Caterpillar and United Healthcare and Exxon and Shell and all your big companies. And then you own little tiny pieces of those companies. And as those stocks go up and down and dividends pay out, you get paid just like if you owned the actual full stock itself. Okay. So you can think of index funds.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Mutual funds are kind of the same family. If he would have just done that, he would be worth like 4 times what he's worth right now, was Warren Buffett's point.
Gotcha. And he wouldn't be a president because it wouldn't matter because he'd have all the money in the world.
Well, he probably still would have wanted to be president because part of the reason I don't like him is that he's a bully. And I don't like bullies, and he keeps touting how great he is at things. And if you're already the best, how can you ever get better, right? I strive every day to be a better man. Like
It's
he
true.
already thinks he's the best.
This is true, yes.
So that irritates me.
You're right.
Things like that irritate me. You know,
Yeah,
you don't think
grow. You got to grow every day.
right.
You gotta, yeah.
My mom told me a simple statement
You
a
got to
long
grow,
time
and
ago that stuck with me. And it was, you know, you don't know everything. And what fun would it be if you did? And her point was, there'd be nothing left to learn, right? If you were sitting here and you knew everything about everything ever, I'm not sure that would be so much fun. So I try not to
That would
ever
be a
let
very
those...
lonely existence, because if you knew everything about everything, yeah.
You would know when
Kudos to your mommy, man. Sounds like a good sad. She sounds like a good solid woman. Your mother there. Yeah,
she's amazing.
Good for you. What's her name? What's your mommy's name?
Her name is
What's
Kay.
your mommy's name? I've never met her.
Yes, you have.
Hello, Kay.
Oh,
Dave says hey.
Dave's never met Kay.
Dave's never met your mother.
That's true. I stand corrected.
Hello, Kay. How are you? Yeah. You raised a fine lad there, Kay. Kudos to you. Kudos.
I'm sure she's...
Let's go back to football, Michael. We got the
she's
Lions
done
game.
laughing.
That was a good game. Who'd they play? I forgot who they played. I forgot who the Lions played.
They played the Los Angeles
They played the Rams,
my friend. Los Angeles Rams.
That's right. And that's the funny... That was the funny thing about that. That was the quarterback swatcheroo. You know, the Stafford went to LA and Goff went to Detroit, and Stafford won a Super Bowl, and Goff hasn't won one yet. And everybody's like, "Oh, Detroit, you know, Goff's not good enough for Detroit," and LA threw him away, and vice versa. Well, you know what? If you recall, in football history, the Raiders won the Super Bowl without John Gruden, and the Bucs won a Super Bowl without Tony Dungy, right? The Gruden went to Tampa and won the Super Bowl with Dungy's team, not Gruden's team, because everybody on that team was the people that Dungy had drafted and brought up. And then Dungy retired, right? And then Gruden won the Super Bowl with Dungy's team. Correct. So is it really the team, or is it the player? Or is it the whole nutshell thing? It's the whole potato, or did you have sweet potatoes, or did you have au gratin potatoes, or did you smash them, you know? Did you smash the potatoes and start from scratch, add some butter and bacon? I don't know, but I don't think you can hang it. Goff wasn't successful in LA. He needed to change a venue. Stafford wasn't successful in Detroit. He needed to change a venue. And it just so happened to change a venue helped Stafford quicker than it's helped Goff. But I think Goff is proving himself now. He's got to do another win, though. He's got to win another game to show it's not a fluke. If he can do that, then they're a team to be reckoned with in the future, I think. But you got to win one more game, one more playoff game to show that it wasn't just a fluke. You know what I'm saying, Michael?
I do. The only thing that I'll add to that is a lot of their losses are not his fault. The defense has to show up. If I were him, I would be all over that fucking defense and saying, you guys need to lock shit down, because they almost lost that game for him again. Detroit has a bad habit of giving up points in the fourth quarter. I can't tell you how many games they lost in the fourth quarter. It was probably all of them. So you can't blame Goff for a lot of their...
You got to finish stronger than you start.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Once again, you know, the music reference. You always finish with the encore. That's usually your best song, right? You finish strong.
Right.
Try and start strong.
Unless you're Aerosmith and you open up the second song of your... Right. I saw Aerosmith years ago, and their third song on the set was Dream On. I'm like, whoa, what are they going to do for the encore?
That's ballsy.
Blew my mind. You know, the encore was Sweet Emotion, so they made up for it. Yeah, the encore was Sweet Emotion, though, so they made up for it. But yeah, that was spectacular. Bringing the piano out on stage and just the one spotlight. Like this, like behind me right now, the halo of the gods shining down on Dave as he sits there standing in for Chris at the Chris and Mike show. See the lights shining down on me? Oh, it's angelic. It's if I brought up my piano and I was Steven Tyler and I played Dream On 3 songs into the 15, 16 song set. I'm illuminating, and I'm not Illuminati, but I'm just being illuminated. Hey, that's because of your mother, Kay, because she has such a blessing on the show. Maybe she's blessing Dave, who's feeling for Chris right now, with the illumination of the rays of the heavens above.
So I guess in our case, that would be like if we put Intervention Divine number 3 in the set list, right?
Yes, I remember that song. You guys played that song quite a bit. The Intervention Divine. It's a fantastic song.
Yeah,
I liked
yeah.
that. I liked listening to that when you're on stage. It wasn't short. It was ballsy. It was fantastic. Lyrically, it was an adventure.
It wasn't
It was a long Walt Whitman type poem.
Yes,
Yeah,
I love the
it was
lyrics
good.
of
It
that
was a good
song.
song. I agree with you.
But I
Agree with
think
you.
it was like 11
Display Your
minutes long.
Face from Galleries Hall. It was. It was. It put Estranged to shame. You know that band Guns N' Roses, that song Estranged? And
Yes.
Intervention Divine put that song to shame. It wiped the floor with Guns N' Roses all day long. You put those songs back to back and have a face off, like a death match, a celebrity rock and roll death match with Clay members of the band playing the music with little clay guitars. Intervention Divine just crush Estranged, I think. But that's just my opinion.
That's a powerful
Just a wee
statement
little
because I
lad from
love Slash.
Scotland. That's just a powerful. That's a powerful statement. But it's the whole thing. It's not just the guitarist, right? It's the whole package. And it's the whole package. It's not just Slash, and it's not just Mike Michaels, and it's not just William Richard Carr III, and it's not just Duff McKagan, you know, and it's not just Scott the drummer and Stephen Adler, who has no brain cells left.
Poor guy.
It's not just Axl, and it's not just the Iron Dog. It's the whole package, man. It's the whole thing, and Nemesis never went down the bloody trail of heroin and debauchery and chaos and destruction like Guns N' Roses did. So therefore, heads on match, band to band, I think the Intervention Divine would crush them. But that's just my opinion. I'm nobody. I'm just Dave from over the seas, over the potatoes grow,
I'm
in the
gonna
green fields of rolling Ireland,
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that I think Slash probably would have approved of Intervention Divine because he digs cool music and that was a
I
cool
think
song.
Slash would love that song.
He would have. Slash is just a big fan
I
of
think,
good
yeah,
songs.
I think that would have been right. He's a good fan of music.
Yes.
Every musician's a fan of music. Let's face it. That's why they're musicians.
Right. We are a pretty
Because all
cool bunch.
musicians steal from each other. There's not an original thought left in the world when it comes to music. If you think about it, everybody's stolen from everybody in one way, shape, and form. It's just the fucks that get sued for it, that have no real bearing on it because everybody stole something from somebody at some point in time along the way, whether subconsciously or consciously. It still happens because it's the muse, right? It's the motivation of what drives your lyrics and what drives your guitars and your drums and your beats and your bass. Everything is plucked from. You'd have to not listen to any music your entire life to write a completely manipulated song, melody, chorus, riff in your brain. If you listen to nothing, it would be impossible. What would your life be without music? It'd be quiet.
And just like the statement that we made a minute ago about if you knew everything, life wouldn't be any fun. If you didn't have all that inspiration from different styles of music to draw from, it wouldn't be very much fun to be a musician either. And it always breaks my heart when I meet a person that says they're a musician and then I find out they only listen to one style of music. I'm like, dude, you got to branch out, man.
Yes,
The reason that I got so many compliments on my tone, my style, the way I phrased my leads, the reason I got those compliments is because I developed original ideas from hundreds of different types of music, right? I listen to everything. I listen to classical, I listen to Middle Eastern, I listen to Indian, I listen to rock, I listen to pop, I listen to country, bluegrass, whatever, man. I don't limit myself to anything. A good song is a good song. It's got a good beat, or it's got a good lick, or it's got a good lyric, right? Something in there grabs you. There's a hook somewhere.
I agree 100%.
I don't care what kind of music it is.
It's got to be a hook.
There has to be a hook.
I agree with you 100%. 100%. It's got to be a hook. And you got to have the big library of music in your head to come up with things. I listen to everything too except really rap. I don't like rap. Never liked the rap. I know Chris is the same way. He likes everything but rap music. He does not really get into it. A little bit of Eminem, he says, because it's a chocolate candy with the candy crunch. He likes that. But rap music, he's just not into. But, maybe every now and then, commercially successful, rap song, colors, colors. Someone I met walking the psychopath talking, you know. But, other than that, just not into rap music at all. Like everything else, country and blues and bluegrass and pop rock and, stadium rock, arena rock, progressive rock, blues rock, death. I've never really gotten into death metal. I don't know about Chris, but I've never really gotten into death metal very much,
Sprinkles,
But
just like
yeah,
there's certain
music
styles of
is
music
Sprinkle,
that are just sprinkles. Little death metal, little country, little
sprinkles of
bluegrass.
music.
Not a
Right.
lot of those
Yeah.
things,
Yeah. Personally, I
enough-
love the way. No. Yeah.
enough to influence the way I play. It might just spark an idea
which
that
is
I
good,
never
yes.
would have thought of because they're playing in a different time signature. They're playing different chords. They're playing different scales. If you just listen to
Right.
rock, you're only going to hear E, A,
Right.
A minor, B minor. If you listen to bluegrass, you're going to hear A7, C augmented 9. You're going to hear crazy Mixolydian and Dorian and music theory is going on because it's a more complicated kind of music. They're using a lot of different chords, and rock and roll traditionally uses just
Right.
simple chords, power chords, bar chords, whatever you want to call them.
Right. That's it. Yeah. Right.
So if you never branch
Right,
out
that's the three
outside
chords
of
in the
that,
truth. Duff McKagan show.
yes, on Sirius XM,
Right.
great show.
You got nothing. Yeah. You got nothing if you don't branch out, if you don't expand your musical horizons. Because music's a journey, It takes you on a trip. It affects your mood. It can bring you down. It can bring you up. It can make you fall asleep. It can get you energized. It can put you on a whole different level. Just based on what you're listening to and what they're singing about and the hooks and the drives. Runners love music, especially driving music, because they can run faster with the driving music.
I love writing driving music.
Yeah,
Those
road
are my
trip music.
favorite
Like you got
riffs.
playlists for every. You could have playlists for every ounce of your day. Imagine going 24 hours. You have a 24-hour playlist, and it builds your entire day. I challenge you there, Mike Michaels. You should call yourself a musician rock star. Make a 24-hour playlist and just drop it. Drop it on the next episode. It'll be a 24-hour episode of nothing but music, and then we'll recognize what you do in the morning. And as you
I've
drive
got
to
one
work.
better than that. So currently, let me give you an accurate assessment. Currently in my liked folder on Spotify, which I've been working on since 2018. And we are currently in
Okay, that's a long time.
2024. When it pulls up here.
It is 2024, yes.
Oh, we're doing
17,463 songs. We are doing the podcast. Congratulations.
What's your guess again?
263 songs is what you got in your Spotify. 17,263.
The reason I made you say it 3 times is because I have 17,437. And he didn't know how many I had, ladies and gentlemen. So that was just a... There's a reason
Somebody
we're doing
needs to go to Vegas and buy
There's a
lottery
reason
tickets
we're doing
today.
a podcast together. We think alike.
Dude, that's absolutely insane that I was that close. I was like within 200 songs.
I know.
That's insanity.
And that's more than
Holy
24 hours of
fucking
music.
shit, man.
I know.
Right?
There should be some kind of prize. If I had a shirt, I'd send you one.
Wow. That's insane. Speaking of shirts, pimp that shirt thing out again to your friend. You posted on the last show. Pimp that out.
For
you know what I'm
Jackson?
talking about? Your friend, you're strong.
Jackson Strong?
Yes.
Yes. So I'll read.
Jackson Strong.
Actually, I pinned it to the top of the page. So until next month, I don't have the exact date. It's on the Facebook page, but poor little Jackson, he's got hemiplegic cerebral palsy. So when he was in the womb, he had a stroke, and it didn't really show up until he was about 5, and they noticed, he was having trouble with certain things. I can't stress enough. Sure. He's the most normal little kid you would ever meet in your life. He struggles to do things that are simple for us, like tie your shoes, and that's the best example that I can think of right off the top of my head. But that's a simple thing that we take for granted every day that he really struggles with because the left side of his brain had a stroke. So, that controls a lot of your motor skills. And so he goes to physical therapy and
Right.
they work with him to strengthen that part of his body, because he obviously is going to favor the right side. So,
that's good.
anybody that wants to make a donation, she has a Venmo that's set up at the bottom of that page. Or if you want to get a kick-ass t-shirt or hoodie or jersey, they're super reasonably priced. I think mine was $16 for an extra large. And then a portion of that goes to Jackson as a donation. So, yeah.
Outstanding, man. Good for you, Michael. And that's a good cause right there.
Her family has been really big supporters of our podcast. Her mom, so Jackson's Mimi, she's not grandma, she's Mimi. So Jackson's Mimi has been promoting our Facebook page. If you've noticed the numbers going up, you can thank Mandy for that. She's got about.
It's not our Facebook page. It's you and Chris's page, but yes. Yeah, it's on Chris's page, but I do notice the numbers are growing and they're rising. That's pretty impressive, So it's good. It's a good thing.
She's been making posts on her own page, pleading with her friends to sign up. So it's the least I can do. This is like small potatoes. It means a lot to them, but
it's small potatoes. So I was on Facebook the other day. It's good. It's a good cause. I was on Facebook the other day and I came across God. God has a Facebook page, which I thought was interesting, because, God's got there's a lot of shit going on in his life and he's got a Facebook page. But he had asked, what's the podcast not to listen to? And of course I put down Young Chris's podcast because why the fuck not? I mean, you have millions and millions of followers because it's God. So, hopefully that drove some traffic through your page too, because, you must listen to Chris and Mike's show. I just put it under God's thread, asking what to listen to from a podcast. And there you go. So, hopefully we get some angelic listeners and, some of the nice people in the world to come along and listen to your podcast and help you grow it. You know what I'm saying?
I'm going to say that if you're not listening to it, then you're doing yourself a severe disservice because you would have never got to meet Dave. And see, this is the first time I met Dave.
You would have never gotten to meet Dave.
I didn't know I was going to sit down here and meet Dave today. I was just as shocked as the listeners. There, I didn't know Chris was under the weather. So,
right.
The show we appreciate the fact the show must go on.
And that just shows you the kind of character that Chris has, that he's not going to let anyone down. He called up me and said, hey, man, in his voice, I can't do an American accent. But he was like, hey, man, can you do a brother a favor? And I was like, well, what's that, Chris? He's like, well, I need a body in my podcast today. I'm like, you got the podcast with Mike, right? And he's like, yeah, I do. And I'm like, well, do you want me to come sit there for you? And he's like, oh, that would be wonderful. So, he's in the back room there, coughing up along and, shitting out all kinds of stuff out of his body while I'm sitting here, carrying the show. Like, what the fuck, man? I wasn't expecting this. I just figured I'd come on and chat with Mr. Mike Makers, a legendary guitar player from the rock and roll band Nemesis. That,
it's been a pleasure.
Over the world.
It's been a pleasure.
Trying to fill his shoes, and it's definitely a pleasure. I think we should change it to the Mike and Dave show, and kick that fucking Chris to the curb, man.
Well, let's not.
What does he do for it?
Let's not go crazy, Dave. Let's not go.
He's over there fucking around.
That's one of my best friends. There, you're welcome anytime.
You're reeling me in, man.
We're not kicking anybody to the curb. Just so you know, I won't throw you under the bus behind your back.
Okay. Well, what we got to do is get Chris and Dave on at the same time. Ooh,
that would be
mind
fantastic.
Blown. We got to make that happen.
I think the next time that Jake's on the podcast, you need to make Dave and Chris happen simultaneously.
They could probably do that. There's all kinds of ways to make things happen with technology, so we'll figure that out. I'll show you something later that I saw Chris did. It's pretty impressive.
Awesome.
With George. This is Dave. Oh, I'm sorry, it was Ted. Chris did something with this guy named Ted. It was like an interview. It was fantastic, and it kind of sounded like Chris, but it didn't look like Chris. But I'll show you when I find it. I'll say, Chris, send it to you. I'll say, hey, Chris, hey, man, send that thing to Mike. That you and Ted did. I think he'll like it. Okay. Well, there you go. He said, okay. So he'll send it to you probably later after the show, and you can take a look at it, and you'll be like, what the fuck? How did this, how did this happen, It's
Fantastic.
brilliant, It's absolutely brilliant. I'm telling you,
Hey, speaking of
brilliant.
George, you never could get him on the podcast, huh?
No, well, that was Dave's. I mean, I'm Dave. That was Chris's father-in-law. I don't. I think the reason why is George doesn't hear very well. It would have been we would have been shouting and yelling to ask questions, and he's just not that guy. He's just he's the old school Italian. You just don't talk to people. You just look at them,
That's what makes him
and you're supposed
fun.
to understand what they're saying. It's like, hey, George.
You
Well,
got to
he just
read
looks
that.
at you.
You got to read the
And he's like,
face.
hey, man, do you want? Right. Right. He's like, hey, man, you want some breakfast? Well, there's a question, George. Do you want some breakfast? And then he realizes, no, I eat later. Okay. And then lunchtime. Hey, George, you want some lunch? No, I'll eat at dinner time. And then and then Jake came home one day, and him and George went to a late lunch. So then at 3 o'clock, and they had lunch, and then all of a sudden it's dinner time at 6. And it's like, George, you hungry? Oh, you just ate like 2 hours ago, didn't you? Oh, we'll just give you one hot dog with no bun, then, so you can actually sit down and pretend like that you're being involved. How's that work? Okay, and that was the extent of that day. I love the man. He's a good dude. He's just,
He looks like a good dude.
It's kind of like it's kind of like we have a conversation. It's kind of like we have a conversation with Ozzy Osbourne. You don't understand half the things he says, but it's relevant in some way, shape, and form because he's talking.
Right. It has to be relevant. Imagine what that son of a bitch has seen in his life.
Right.
He could tell stories for 100 years.
Oh, I would love to sit down with Ozzy and just not even talk about music, man. Just talk about life.
Life. Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I think so many people.
I could not agree with you more. I want to know him as a person.
Right. Right. I think too many people get wrapped around the celebrity and not the person.
Right. I don't give a shit
I'd
about
like
the
to know
celebrity.
what these right, because that's not even their true self, right? That's not who they really are. That's just the role they step into. That's who it's a role. It's like Mel Gibson steps into a role. That's not who he is in real life. It's so it's same with musicians. I think that's not who they are. They're artists. They're entertainers. I'd like to know the life, the story behind. Not necessarily behind the music, but the story of the man.
Right.
I know his career. I know his music. I know his catalog. I know his library. Love the man musically. He's fantastic. I love all his songs for the most part. There's a couple like, what the fuck were you thinking, Ozzy? But on a whole, it'd be great just to sit down with the man. Nobody interviews the person. They always interview the celebrity.
Well,
it's
just
stupid.
like you and I.
Interview the person, man.
Just like you and I have gone through so many.
Or you and Chris.
Yes. Sorry, Dave. Me and Chris have gone through so many dark periods in our life.
I guess I have the problem.
I would like to know what pulled him out of all those. What kept you from imploding? Agreed. We know what kept us from imploding. I'd like to know what kept him from just. Right. So many people that he came up with are no longer here. We lost so many great rock stars: Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Jim Morrison, Buddy Holly. All these people.
Well, Buddy Holly, because he got on the wrong plane.
Well, yeah, I can't use him as an example. He died in a plane crash. But all these people died of drug overdoses.
You know the story behind that, right?
No.
Right.
Well, maybe.
Or alcohol drowning. Okay.
Buddy Holly, you mean?
The story with Buddy Holly and Waylon. Yeah, Buddy Holly and Waylon Jennings. Do you know that story?
If I do, I probably forgot it.
So Waylon Jennings was one of his backup musicians, like his road band, right? Waylon Jennings, Waylon and Willie, country music,
correct,
rockin' dude, right? So he was Buddy Holly's guitarist in the band, and that night, of the fateful night where the plane went down, they somehow were arguing about who flies on the plane and who goes on the bus, and they did something to where it was, kind of like, pick a number 1 through 10 type bullshit. Waylon picked the wrong number, so Waylon took the bus. Buddy took the plane. Story over. Buddy died, Waylon lived. Imagine the flipping of that coin. Buddy Holly's still around. Waylon dies. So who would be here's a conundrum to you. Who would be the bigger legend then? If Buddy Holly was still alive and Waylon died on that plane,
Nobody knew who
because
Waylon was.
Never went on his own. So
Right.
therefore Waylon's correct. So Waylon's entire musical catalog never would have existed, which begs to the question like, intervention divine?
I was just getting ready to say, does that not kind of prove that we might be living in a simulation? You know, certain things have to happen a certain
Matrix,
way.
Man, we're in the Matrix.
We're in some version of that. There's no question.
Time-space continuum. We are 88 miles per hour, 1.21 gigawatts. You know, you just got to get there somehow.
Did you ever watch the show Fringe?
You know,
on Fox.
Fringe. I think maybe I did. I think I came over to Ireland. Fringe. It was a weird little time travel ditty, correct?
Well, it was based on the premise that there's parallel universes going on simultaneously, and they're right next door to ours, right? So there's just a thin layer. I believe that. That's pretty much how I firmly believe the universe is set up, is that there's just a bunch of different versions of what we're doing right now going on all the time, which explains a lot of deja vu. It explains a lot of seeing shit that's really not there, because it might not be there. It might be there for that moment in time, right? Like Bigfoot. There's a classic example. Right. Maybe he shifts in and out of different universes, right? That's why you can't ever find bones.
It stands to reason well, you know, and it could be that Shaq's Bigfoot, you know, 8 foot tall, dark warrior walking through the wilderness, you know. Like I just saw right there, right?
I just saw a picture. Speaking of that, I just saw a picture on Facebook that depicted, it was engraved into the side of the pyramids, and it depicts the people being as tall as the palm trees. Right? The people are the same height as the top of the palm tree.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So did they have little short trees or big tall people?
That's fantastic. I love that kind of stuff, you know. It's yeah.
We don't know what happened in the past, and there could have been so many advanced civilizations that we were unaware of.
Agreed.
Right? One cataclysmic event, an asteroid hits the Earth and lights out. You got to start over again.
Yep.
So all this shit gets buried. No one would even know we were here. They wouldn't know we had Google and Apple and MacBooks, and they wouldn't know that we had an internet system that went all over the world and we were all connected. In 2 seconds, this could all be over.
I didn't know we had rotary telephones. Over. And look again. Here's the angelic lights flashing down on me. It's crazy, right? Because it stopped for a while and it's coming back.
Just about the time I started
It's like
preaching.
Comes and goes. Preach it, man.
Preach it,
Pastor Michael. Tell it how it is. Preacher man is preaching about the coming times. That was a lyric from a song that Chris wrote. Preacher man is preaching about the coming times. I don't remember the rest of it. I'd have to ask him. That's a good song, though. Faceless Dogs. It was Faceless Dogs. It was about all the corruption in the churches. I saw this thing today that it's religion is a business made, you know, it's a man-made business, whereas faith is free. You know, we've talked about that, or you and Chris have talked about that before, that religion is religion and faith is faith. And you know, the question was, what do you think about religion? And the response was, well, religion's a man-made for profit business where faith is free. I thought that was brilliant.
That is
faith
brilliant.
Is free. You know,
yes.
Religion, they ask if money's the root of all evil, right? This is where this was going. If the money's the root of all evil, why do churches ask everybody for money?
Why is God always broke?
Mind blown. That's the thing, man. It's right. It's the saying, the money's the root of all evil. Think about that. It's the root of all evil.
It is.
But churches continuously, 24/7, day after day, ask everybody for money, where faith is free. Your faith is between you and the relationship of whatever you think the higher power is, whether that's the lava lamp behind you that you grace and you kneel to every morning. Please, lava lamp, you know, flow today. Or if it's the trees and the birds singing.
You love my lava lamp, don't you?
You have belief in something I do love your lava lamp. Chris tells me about it all the time.
Yeah,
But
he's a big
your
fan as
faith
well.
is whatever's inside you, and it right. It's what drives you. Faith is what drives you on a day to day basis. The religion fucks everything up, man. It just fucks it all up. And I know we're gonna get people pissed off that Dave said that, you know, but it's true.
It's
It
a
just
true
fucks shit
statement.
up. You know, it's like people. Right, it's like people pray. Oh, I pray the Cowboys win. Fuck you. It has nothing to do with football, you fucking wanker. He's on Facebook talking about religion. You know, you want to go to God, go to Facebook, type in God, he'll come up and you can ask him questions, man. It's like that movie, Bruce Almighty. He had the email inbox for the prayers. Yes, everybody gets their answers to the prayers. And what happened? Fucking chaos. Chaos, because everybody got the answer yes. I
So
digress, though. We're talking about football. We got the Lions game we talked about. Go ahead. Take over the call. Take over. Come on. Go ahead.
no, you're fine. If you want to go back to football, we can go back to football.
I want you to finish. I want you to interject, though. What's your comment? What were you
No,
going to say?
No, I was just going to say one thought that has always gone through my head is if you started, everybody makes fun of Scientology, right? Okay. L. Ron Hubbard started this religion.
Correct.
Fucking joke. You got to be a complete whack job to even believe any of the bullshit that they say. And it just proves how easily people are led and brainwashed. Okay. So let's say that you started the Catholic religion today.
Yes.
Let's say that it just started today.
Today.
And 4 months from now, 6 months from now, you find out that over half of your priests are diddling little kids. How long would that religion be around if it just started today?
Oh, it'd be squashed like a bug, man. It'd be like fucking tyrants and Braveheart coming down the throat with horses and fires and flames and swords, and everybody's fucking destroyed.
So my question is,
it's like the Epstein thing all over again.
How can you, with any degree of sanity, support a religion that doesn't? They just relocate these priests. They don't press charges against them. They don't, they ship them out of the country. They're sitting on the biggest pile of gold in the history of the world. Nobody even knows what's underneath the Vatican because they won't let anybody under there. And there's people starving in the world, and they're supposed to be a church who's compassionate and like Christ, and they're hoarding more money than anyone on earth. This is my point, people. If you want to know where I'm coming from, this is where I'm coming from. I go deep, man. I've thought this all the way through to the bottom, and none of this shit makes sense to me. It just seems evil. If I had that kind of money, I'd be feeding the world, right?
Yeah. Right. But then
Can't
you
go
wouldn't have
broke.
that kind of money because you'd be out of money because you fed the world.
No, I was just getting ready to say.
You can't go broke from a spiritual standpoint.
Can't go broke doing it. I'll feed as many people as I can, but I wouldn't just be sitting on trillions of dollars and feel good about myself. I couldn't do that.
Agreed, but it'd be more beneficial though. That old adage, teach a man to fish, you feed him for a lifetime, or you give him you feed him fish, and then you don't. I don't know what the phrase is, but it's that concept. Like I can give you some fish right now and feed you, Mike, or I can show you how to catch your own fish, and then you're gonna feed yourself for a lifetime. So it's that kind of concept. But with that money that they have, they could definitely teach the world and put in systems in all the countries that don't have what America has, and educate and give the resources to help everybody be self-sustaining. So then the money goes to where it really needs to go, and not just sitting in the basement of the Vatican. I agree with you 100%. That goes back to the thing.
I agree with what you're saying. The only thing that I would add to that is, we can educate those people as we not let them starve to death, but I think you and I have both been in the position where we don't have two nickels to rub together, and teaching me to fish at that moment in time is probably not the best. It's like, give me the fish first, and then we'll talk about how.
Oh, correct.
Tomorrow we can,
well,
I would just.
Absolutely. I'm not saying, right.
No different.
That was my point. It wasn't that it just, yeah.
No different than we're doing with this forum right here, right? We're trying to give people our opinions and our outlook on life, which is going to be far different than most people's. I think they're learning that real quick. But I think it's good. The way that I got to be the way that I got to be where I am, the way that you got to be where you are, is we didn't limit ourselves to this is the way we were raised and this is the only way we can think. People fall into this trap of, okay, I was raised to be a Christian, so I have to be a Christian
Correct.
the rest of my life. I was raised to be a
Right.
coal miner, so I have to
Right.
be a coal miner the
Exactly.
rest of my life. You and I don't realize,
Right.
unless we look into it, which we have, that the average person isn't a forward thinker. They don't think outside the box, right? They do what they're told
No.
all the time. That's the way the system's set
They
up.
don't. Right.
It's not set up for you to be a free
Yes.
thinker. It's set up for you to do what you're told.
No. Right. Yep. Exactly. I agree with that 100%.
There's a clip on
I mean,
YouTube.
that's a strange. Freedom's a strange thing.
There's a clip on YouTube of
Yes,
all
go ahead.
these newscasters saying the exact same thing on like 600 different local news stations. It was during coronavirus, but it was very evident that the media is
Right.
hyper controlled at this moment in time, which is why you don't watch it, which is why I don't watch it.
Absolutely.
I get most of my news from Facebook, people
Mhm.
posting shit, you know, but I cannot sit down and watch a newscast. It's too fucking depressing.
Well,
I
it's
don't
like
know
a-
why
yeah,
people
right,
do
right,
it.
Right. Right. I don't even listen. I told you. I get all my news from watching you and Chris. Like I had no news 12 weeks ago. I didn't know what the fuck was going on in the world. Then I started watching your show. I'm like, oh, that's brilliant. And then it shapes my world, man. I wake up. I'm like, okay, I know what I'm doing today because I listened to Chris and Mike yesterday. It's a brilliant thing. Absolutely. And speaking of which, we gotta get this wrapped up because I gotta go take a piss. So maybe we should do the music thing. We were gonna do a music thing, right? Like a top 11 albums or something, right? Like the
Top 11 albums.
Was
I
that
sent
what
you
we're
mine.
gonna- Top 11 albums. Okay, let's see. The top 11 rock and roll albums of all time. Let's see.
Did you send me yours?
Checking Chris's email because he gave me access.
Dave?
To it. I didn't. I just gonna go off yours because I didn't because Chris was supposed to do it, but Chris is feeling under the weather.
Oh, Chris is under the weather,
just
so we're
figured
gonna
I'd
go
check
with.
and I don't see it in the email, Mike. I'm on Chris's email. Are you sure you sent it?
It's right here. It's in my outbox. How come it won't send to you?
I don't know. What do you've been freezing every now and then on this thing. Like right now, your name says frozen on the bottom of the screen.
No, that's just how I feel. Frozen.
You could text it to me if that doesn't work. Oh, frozen. Oh, that's your name. Oh, look at you. You learned how to change your name. I was asking Chris about that. Why is Mike always Mike and you're like these different things, you know? He's like, I don't know, Mike's
Because, ladies and gentlemen,
and I was like, well, I'm not going to nudge him.
because he's had time to mess around with
the
this,
internet.
and I had to actually learn how to run the whole studio part of it, so I figured it out.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, Chris told me this was your baby. Chris told me this was your baby, and I was just longing to help you, which is good. It's got to have your own baby, man. It's good to have something
it's
that
ours.
drives you.
It's ours.
You wake up in the morning, you put your pants on, and you think about, oh, what am I doing today? And then like, oh, I'm gonna rock about the rock and roll, and I'm gonna talk about tacos and all those kinds of things. Still don't see it. I don't know what's going on.
Dude, this is crazy.
Do you email it? Maybe text it.
I just copied it, and I sent it to you, and it's fucking blank in the text message.
Yeah.
How is that even possible? It was there.
Yeah, it's just
Watch.
a text
Paste.
message came by you, man.
Look,
I don't know.
it's right there,
Yes,
just so you know I'm not crazy. See it?
I'm looking. Well, I
Okay.
do. I believe you, man.
Now-
I see it. I see it.
I sent it.
Oh, wait. Let's see. Something came up.
It's gone.
Oh, no, it says cool. The last thing on Chris's text.
How's that
message
even
says cool.
possible? You just saw it there, and I hit send, and it fucking disappeared.
Because somebody doesn't want us to talk about your top 11 favorite albums of all time.
Okay,
That's what
since
it is. There's
since
something
they-
going on. Because notice this. Notice the sky is above my head is no longer like that, right? It's changed now. So there's something going on a different level of consciousness right now. Don't know what it is, Or maybe I talked too much about the potatoes in the motherland. Maybe that pissed off the potato gods. I don't know. You could just share your top 11 and we can interject that way. You can be like, okay, this is my top 11 favorite albums, Michael's top 11 favorite albums. And then I'll inject with you. We can have a conversation about each album. What do you think about that?
Hey, there's more than one way to skin a cat. Here. this has got to work.
There is. You got a knife. You got a machete. You got.
I do not.
One of those pasta smashers. You know, you can put it through a pasta spreader. You know, one of those wheelbarrows with spikes on it. You know, like Mad Max down a Thunderdome thing.
I know why it's not going.
You obviously could light it on fire, but that would be skinning it in a weird way.
I know why it's not going, Dave.
I got a message from you. I see it. No, I got it.
Yeah, you're probably going to get about 4 of them now. I forgot.
There it is. I see it.
When I'm on the podcast, my internet doesn't work.
See it. Yes.
So I had to shut off my Wi-Fi.
That's a brilliant little.
This is not in order of importance.
I'm liking these records you make.
This is not in order of importance. This is
just your top 11. Okay.
These are albums that I go back to again and again and again. Yes.
I like it. I got to sit up and so I can read it. So, do you want me to start at 11 or do you want me to start at 10? Because then it's up to you. I think I should start at 10 so you can.
I'm actually going to let you read them.
Your number 1.
I'll let you read them.
Okay.
And I'll interject as I.
Okay, so top 11. Okay, so top 11 favorite albums of Mr. Mike Michaels, the world-renowned guitarist, or nemesis, the rock and roll icon himself. Number 11 is a band called Kiss, and the album is Kiss Alive. So it's when they were living underground, and then they came to life with vampires. They bit him, and then they came to life, right? And then that's why that one guy's got the blood coming out of his mouth all the time. Am I correct in my assumption?
Yes, that's a perfect.
Okay,
perfect example.
And I can see why number 10 then is Peter Frampton. Frampton comes alive, so obviously the bandmates in Kiss saw that Peter was in the ground. They dug him out and bit him on the neck, and then he came alive as well, right?
Yes. You're onto something, Dave.
Yeah. Okay. See, I'm rolling with this. I'm onto something. Now, this gentleman right here, number 9, he's from Motor City, Motown, you know, or Detroit City, Rocktown, whatever, Michigan, whatever you want to call it. And he's a great songwriter. And this is a great album. It's called Bob Seger Night Moves. And it's just top to bottom. That's a great record.
Absolutely.
You like the storytelling type records then, right?
Absolutely.
So 11 and 10 obviously were right. So 11 and 10 were kind of equated to coming to life. You know, like you're not just in the studio, you know, banging away any instruments and laying down the vocal tracks. You're out there in the world, and you're in front of a fan base, and then the energy and everything's sped up and faster. So you got those two that are, you know, great live albums from the people that were dead and they came back to life, kind of like Jesus did, right, after those 3 days, like, woo, I'm alive again, you know, if you subscribe to that notion. So yeah, so 11, you got Kiss Alive, and then Peter Frampton comes alive, and then you got Bob Seger's Night Moves. This one's surprising. I like this because this is a shock to me. Chris would probably be like, oh fuck it, I'm surprised about this one. Temple of the Dog, number 8. Temple of the Dog, number 8. Temple of the Dog.
Oh, come on now.
That's a great fucking album. Chris Cornell was lights out, and that was the tribute album to Andrew Wood. And for those of you who don't know who Andrew Wood is, well, just fuck off. Like, you just turn off the show right now if you don't know who Andrew Wood is. I mean, my God, man. Leave it on. Don't do that. Chris would get mad at me.
But, no. Leaving Apple off this list was really hard. Mother Love Bone, or Temple of the Dog took the place of Mother Love Bone.
Yeah, come bite an apple.
It was tough.
Yeah.
It was tough, man.
Got you, Mother Love Bone.
Because you and I had that in common from the get-go. When I found out you were when I found out Chris was a Mother Love Bone fan, we were instantly fans.
Right. Oh, Dave is too, man. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, Dave is too.
Dave, you got good taste in music,
Andrew
brother.
Wood was brilliant. That was the disappointing thing about heroin, man. That took Andrew Wood away. Like, that was the stories you hear about him and his performances in Seattle. Like, it didn't matter if it was 2 people in the crowd or 500. He played like there was 10,000 people in front of him.
So sad, man.
Every show was his last show, kind of like how Morrison used to approach everything. It's like, you know, this is it. This last time I'm going to be on stage. And I know Chris tried to inject that in his time with Nemesis. Like, this is the relevant. This is what's here now. And you seize that moment, and you put your heart and soul into it. And that's how all musicians should do. You know, all of them should do it.
I think we always play
number
it like
7.
It was our last
now,
time.
I'm going to tell you, Agreed. I can attest to that. Watching you guys from over the pond, and with the weird little spy cameras that the Franco had that used to feed me in my little hut in Ireland. So number 7, I know Chris doesn't he's not into this band, and I'm not either. Corrosion of Conformity, Deliverance. What makes that such a stand up album for you, Michael?
Aside from the fact that it's one of the most well-written underground albums, that it's not really even that underground, because Albatross and Clean My Wounds were big hits on KUPD back when Nemesis was doing their thing as well. The thing that stands out for me is that these guys never wavered from who they are. They are just hardcore,
I like that.
songwriting sons of bitches. They are not after fame, fortune. So the thing that I respect the most about COC is that they are the musicians. So to put that in perspective, your James Hetfields, those kind of caliber of musicians are friends with the guys in COC. That's how respected they are in the music community. And if you haven't done yourself a favor and listened to that album from top to bottom, do it again, and you'll see what I mean. That's just
I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do that. Yeah.
It's just raw.
I'm gonna download that on my Apple thing tonight and listen to it.
Just raw organic power,
right on,
man.
Right on. I'll take a look.
The same kind of raw energy that Temple. The reason that's on there is the same reason Temple of the Dog's on there.
Right.
Because you can tell there wasn't a lot of production put into it. It was just, we wrote good fucking songs and we're going to record them quick right now. So everybody go listen to Corrosion of Conformity,
Andrew Wood, which was
Deliverance.
I'll tell Dave. I'll tell Chris what I think of that in the next episode. So he'll share my thoughts with you on that one. Number 6. I know you guys have talked about this before when you were talking about the Diamond albums, and this one, if memory serves correctly, this is like 68 times platinum. The Eagles' greatest hits. It's one of the top 3 selling records of all time in the history of rock and roll. In the history of music, actually, not just rock and roll. The Eagles' greatest hits from 71 to 74. Great fucking album.
There's a reason it's the greatest selling album of all time.
That's it's a nice... Right. The melodies and the musicianship and just the sound. Such a fat sound. And a lot of people may not know, I mean, some people do, but that's this generation, they're not going to realize it. They probably don't even know who I'm going to reference. But the members of the Eagles were Linda Ronstadt's band. They were her backup musicians. Correct. Not a lot of people in this day and age would realize that. And
that's a true
story.
You
have to Google Linda Ronstadt if you don't know who the fuck I'm talking about. But that's crazy too. But that's the thing, that's the thing that you guys have talked about before. There was dynamic, and there was legacy built behind bands, and the labels got behind them, and they drove them, and they pushed them, and they backed them.
They developed them.
Years and years, sometimes from them to go anywhere. So correct. So the musicianship and the camaraderie and the personalities that all developed and grew organically over the years. And so when they did put out an album like number 5, AC/DC's Highway to Hell, that thing just propelled them into the next stratosphere, right? Because that's a fucking great album itself. And that was the first one after Bon Scott died, right? Or was that Back in Black?
Back in Black.
So this was the last one with Bon Scott, Highway to Hell, or was that their first? Because I get confused sometimes with the Highway.
This was their last album with Bon Scott.
So that with Bon Scott, gotcha. Okay,
and
a fucking great album for being his last album. I talk about
not to get in a great debate on who's better, Bon Scott or Brian Johnson, because they're both equally great.
Brian Johnson, right.
Yeah, they both achieved success on a level that we can only dream of, but Brian Johnson actually has sold more records than Bon Scott. The reason I chose that album is because every time I hear that album, it makes me want to pick up my guitar. It all these albums inspire me to want to be a musician.
Oh, outstanding. That's outstanding, man.
We'll do another list.
Number 4 of Mr. Michael's top 11. Yeah.
Go ahead.
That actually what? No, go ahead. We'll do another list that actually what?
that I listen to for inspiration, that you listen to for inspiration, Dave. Jesus. I made it this far and I fucked
muse.
it all up.
What Chris listens to, the
Yes.
muse, the way the muse part of yeah. You'll be surprised, I think, with Chris's top 11 albums that help him derive the right lyrics and shit. I know I was when he told me. I'm like, holy shit, fucking.
You'll be surprised at mine
So
too.
number 4, the tragically hip blow at the high dough. Tragically hip blow at the high dough. Interesting choice for top 4 right there.
Okay. So for those of you who are unaware,
Number 3, yeah, expand.
The Tragically Hip
Right.
is an amazing band from Canada. They're national heroes in Canada, just like Rush is. They're just as big as Rush up there.
And
fantastic fucking songwriters. And Triumph. Yes, thank you. Yeah. Unfortunately, I can't remember the guy's last name. Their singer, his name was Gordy, something or other. The poor guy got brain cancer.
Gordie Howe?
No.
Gordie.
I'm sure he might have been named after Gordie. No, they would have been about the same age. The poor guy got brain cancer and died. But listen to, if you go on Netflix, for the next podcast, my mission will be to find out what the name of this documentary is. Dude, I just bawled like a little girl all the way through it, just because it was so moving at how much these guys fucking loved each other, dude. And when you listen to this album, I listen to it for songwriting because it's some of the greatest storytelling, keep you interested and moving, but still has great rock and roll kind of vibe to it. You know, like they got gritty, cool riffs, and you'd love it, man. So I think the guy that introduced me to it, his name was Brad Schwann. So thank you, Brad, for introducing me to the Tragically Hip in about 1991 or 2. Appreciate it. Sorry, go on.
Way to go, Brad. And that's no affiliation to Schwann's Family Foods. No affiliation to Schwann's Family Foods, Brad. Number 3, this is a good one. Black Crowes, Southern Harmony. Southern Harmony, Black Crowes. The Black Crowes.
It's actually the Southern Harmony and Musical Companion.
Yeah. Oh, you just didn't have enough room on the text message to do that. But that's
I didn't want to make another line.
That's a good storytelling. It's a little throwback rockabilly kind of, you know. Yeah, that's okay. And then, of course, number 2 does not surprise me at all. It's that little band out of San Francisco called Metallica. And it's master puppets pulling my strings. You know, they played in Ireland before. It was quite a festive event there, Metallica. Oh, you turn green. Oh, they are rock and roll, man. Rock and roll.
I don't even know how I did that. Rock and roll
saves the world, you know.
I did this and it turned it green and shot a laser through
impressive, man.
It was.
It did. It turned green. This because the halo's left me and it's on your side now. So Metallica, Master Puppets, number 2. And then you have to agree with this, America. The top 10, the top 11 favorite albums of all time, not in any particular order, but the one he listed as number 1 is the mighty Led Zeppelin, Physical.
That is number
Graffiti. 1. And I applaud that.
That album will always come out of my mouth. Number 1.
Just fantastic.
The rest of the list is in no particular order.
Why is that? Yeah.
Because the first...
So why is that your top 11 all-time number 1 favorite song?
Because...
The reason, yes. Let's go. The reason behind it.
The reason behind Physical Graffiti over any other Led Zeppelin record is simply for selfish reasons. It has the most songs on it. And like the riffs on there are mature because it's like their 3rd or 4th album. I'm going to get crucified for not knowing which one it is, but they were far enough into their career where Jimmy was, Jimmy was rolling. You go listen to like The Rover, Wearing and Tearing. Those riffs are, you can't stop them, man. To this day, I listen to that album and I hear new things all the time. So I guess that's why more than anything, because I learn from it every time I hear it.
And that's the beautiful thing about music, right? You hear something and one time you listen to it and then you listen to it 738 times later, and like on the 739th time, holy shit, there's a riff there that I never heard before.
Yep.
Like there's this band that Chris and I both share a passion for called Alter Bridge, and there's this song, "The End Is Here," which I've listened to it 1,000 times. I know he
That's
has
a
too.
great song.
And then eventually he discovered there's this riff, right? And there's this riff, this is harmonic that Mark Hermonti hits at the 4 minute 29 second of that song, and it's just it's been there the entire time the song's been out, but it just sometimes you don't hear it until one moment, magical moment. It's like, holy shit, that's brilliant. It's just fucking brilliant. I love things like that. That's the beauty of music, man. You can listen to the same song over and over again, and it means something different depending on where you're at in your life. And
Absolutely.
Something we listened to 20 years ago is going to have a different impact on us now because our life is different and it's changed and it's evolved. So I love your list. It's a great list, man. Nice job.
Thank you. Thank you. I was actually nervous to bring that to Chris's attention because the top 11 list is that it's Chris's baby, and I just thought that he would enjoy that because it had to do with music. So I pondered on it for a couple days, and I thought the worst thing he can say is no, right? And he rarely says no. So
I don't think Chris would never say no. I don't. When it comes down to what you guys do, I don't think he's ever say no. He loves it as much as you do, I think.
Well, if he said no, he would have a reason behind it. That's why I respect him. No, and here's why. And I would probably have to say, "Oh fuck, I didn't think about that." You know.
That's fucking fantastic. All right, so this is the Chris and Mike show. I'm filling in for Chris. I'm Dave.
Dave, it's been a pleasure having you here today, brother.
We're gonna wrap this fucker up, and we're gonna. Mike, it's been a pleasure sitting in for that bald motherfucker. I hope I did him justice.
You did a fantastic job. I hope he gets to feeling better.
I'm sure he will. His wife's coming home soon. I'm sure she's gonna walk in the house and be like, "Who the fuck are you?" And I'm like, "I'm Dave. I'm from Ireland, remember?" And then,
Don't call the police.
Yeah, she doesn't much like Chris's friends that kind of have goofy faces, if you know what I mean. I don't know why.
I don't blame her.
It's the best. It's the best way to deal with your different personalities by just being who you are at different times with different people, if that makes any sense. And with that conundrum, I'm going to say goodbye.
Everybody, be kind to one another. Go share our Facebook page with all your friends and click that follow button on Spotify, and have a great week. And thanks for tuning in. We love you all. Peace.